Toyota might be launching a lot of models lately, but this is what will get them their top 1 spot in the best-selling car. And here are the top 3 things we like about the Toyota Ativ. Number 1, it has sequential taillights for a budget sedan. Very nakaka-premium, and we are fans of the design overall, but when you see the lights turning on like that, icing on the cake. Number 2, this might be an HEV, but it is loaded with physical controls. You don't have to go to the touchscreen for anything, and we really like that. So, example, Toyota Safety Sense, you don't want your lane keep muna, turn it off here. You don't want your prox alarms going off from motors, turn it off here. You don't want an auto high beam, turn it off here, easy. And number 3, this 1.5-liter hybrid fuel economy is real. Going here, 20 kilometers, early morning drive, the commute to work, Parañaque to Pasig, 29 kml. Even the most dedicated hyper-miling Vios drivers can't match that. So if we had our top 3, now it's time for the best of the rest, or maybe even the cons. So let's start with the looks. Up front, you have your getting very familiar hammerhead design language from Toyota. It makes its way here, so that's defined by the sharp line with the C-shaped headlights. Here in the Ativ HEV variant, all LED implementation. And this one has these aero vents, which help with controlling turbulence according to Toyota. So these are actually functional. And as you can see, this is going to be a trend across the whole car. The character line here, continuing to the side, makes it look lower than it actually is. So in a way, it makes it look sportier as well. Lower is sportier. But don't worry, because the ground clearance is actually increased from the previous generation, or the Vios non-HEV, and I'll tell you more about it here on the side. Follow this line here. Continuity goes all the way to the back, again, making it look lower. So here on the side, you can see, first of all, the fastback treatment of the Ativ. Very sharp, very poggy, really updates the car through the silhouette alone. And as I mentioned, here you do have a slightly increased ground clearance, 160 millimeters, and you ride on 16-inch alloy wheels, two-tone with a flat aero design. Curiously, meron siyang malaking manhole for the valve cover. When you see it, you can't unsee it, but overall, it's okay. No PHEV Toyotas just yet, so this is just for your gas. You also have keyless entry, of course. Touch only, no need for a button. And here, 360-degree camera, which is also up there and in the back, of course, along with the Toyota Safety Sense up top. And one last thing, if you're wondering if it is bigger than the outgoing or not outgoing Vios, the last generation one, it is actually slightly longer in wheelbase and bigger by a few millimeters in all dimensions overall. All right, moving to the rear, this is actually my favorite angle of the new car. So Ativ, Vios is still here, but I expect this to go away in the next refresh or 2, leaving the Ativ badge alone. My favorite part of the design, the squared-off taillight. Some say it reminds them of the Honda City. I say fair trade, because when the Honda Civic came out, it looked like Vios taillight. So trade sila, copy each other's homework. You have more of the flaps here, the aero flaps, though these ones don't actually go anywhere. And you have a very aggressive, for a Toyota, rear diffuser treatment. This isn't even a GRS model, but look at that. Look how sharp it is. So I'm a fan, and it's pretty high up, so I don't think you'll have any risk of scratching it even when you go on a big decline. Now, open up the trunk. And you can see, even being a hybrid, there is a lot of cargo space inside. I've left these bottles in to give you a sense of space. The 12-volt battery does take up the corner here. You don't get the full length. Like here, you have a recess here, but here, there's something blocking the way. But underneath, you do get a full-size spare tire, so very good peace of mind, and I think most of us would appreciate that. Let's see what else it has on the inside. All right, now we're inside the Toyota Ativ HEV, and being the HEV, you do get leather seat. This seems like an older design, like past generation Corolla cross seats, but we don't really mind because they're comfy. Bolstering is good, though adjustment is all manual. But at least height adjustment is present here, so that makes it feel less of a budget car. Steering wheel leather wrap. You have all your controls here. Notably, you have your adaptive cruise from Toyota Safety Sense and your 360-degree camera button. Low res, but camera is a camera. And you also have your drive modes here. Now, it's fun because short press turns power on and off. Long press turns eco mode on and off. And you can actually turn them both on at the same time, confusing the car. Overall, the dashboard looks premium. It has some soft touch materials here and on the door card as well, but it does feel less airy than the outgoing or previous generation Vios. So when you step in, you feel much more cocooned inside the car, and that might be a minus point for some who really like how spacious the Vios feels for a small compact sedan. That might have something to do as well with the raised center console to make room for your ECVT transmission and your automatic brake hold. Electronic parking brake raises the whole thing up here. And the cubby hole for your phone is very small. You do have a wireless charger in there, but I wish it was in a portrait orientation instead, because as it is, landscape style, when you put it in, it's kind of hard to get in and out. One more thing I noticed, UX-wise, is if you're the type who you like to attach your phone on the dashboard, the redesigned dashboard doesn't really lend itself to clipping your stuff anywhere, especially the aircon vents with how skinny they are. The aircon cools you really well, but the vents are skinny, so no cell phone mount here. Maybe you need a suction cup there if you really want to, or just use the wireless integration of Android Auto or Apple CarPlay here on your 10-inch display. Resolution is good, response is enough. The bezels, thankfully, are small, and you still have some touch-sensitive buttons here on the side. And that's a high part, again, like we mentioned in the start of the video. There are a lot of buttons here to control all your features, especially your safety features, and if anything gets too annoying, it's easy to turn them off at the touch of a button. As mentioned, outside, you do have automatic headlights, and that, for me, it causes one issue with the digital gauge cluster and infotainment, because the Ativ joins the club of Toyotas with no offsetting in their lights. So you have auto, park, or headlight on. So when you set it to auto, it can be a bit sensitive. Like you drive behind a tall building shadow, it will turn it to night mode, which would be fine, except if you're the type who likes the brightness setting of your screens at night to be low because it's glaring. When it flips to night settings while driving in the daytime, you effectively get blinded for a little while until the car decides, oh, you're back in the sunlight, let's turn the lights back on. And that has a bit of a delay. One workaround would be to up the brightness overall, but then again, you'd have to adjust to it at night. So for me, there has to be a sweet spot there. Maybe Toyota can update the software down the line to respond faster to changing light conditions. But that is my main gripe here in front, because it might feel a little annoying to not see what you're doing. There are also some nice human touches here in the design, especially this soft opening cup holder by the aircon vent. Really a fan of those. And you even have a little cubby for your RFID cards here by your driver's knee. Though they did lose out on a dead pedal, so something you might feel on a long drive. The rest of the technology up here, 6 speakers, USB-C and Type A here in front. You have auto hold, so godsend for Vios drivers in traffic. Start-stop button as usual. And unlike some other Toyota models, you don't get a DVR for free up here. But at least you do have the full safety sense suite. And yeah, space. As you can see, no problem. Headroom, very comfy. Width, no problem. Knee room, I cleared the steering column, no problem. And let's see what it means for my riding position here in the back. All right, so getting in here, I actually bumped my head on the ceiling. So fastback, cool design comes in with a cost. For reference, in the Vios, I will hit my head as well, but only on the side. Not when I'm sitting directly straight, but here, my head is scraping the top, and I can't do anything about that because these seats are fixed. You can't even adjust the headrest. There's no center armrest, and most of all, you can't fold these down. So if you're the type who actually uses the trunk space, extending it into the passenger compartment by folding down the rear seats of any sedan, take note, you cannot do that here. And yeah, so for my height, I have issues here in the back seat, and as well as a little bit of knee room issue because my driving position is kind of extended. But I think closer to the average size, you'll fit in here for sure. On the topic of PMS, one thing we've learned is actually the main thing you have to maintain in your hybrid system is the fan filter, because the battery needs active cooling, and you can actually see that down here. Why is there a vent under your rear seats? Because this is actually where the fan draws in the air to cool the battery that's down there. And again, this is just one of the main things you have to maintain for a hybrid. It's not really a big deal. Amenities, you do get 2 separate aircon vents so the passengers can share, and 2 USB-A chargers. So again, walang agawan, map pockets, and LED lighting. Nice touch. So I guess this is not my preferred seat in the Ativ. I want to get back in front, so let's go for a drive. And behind the wheel of the Toyota Ativ. So under the hood, you have your 1.5-liter NA engine that spins an electric motor with a small lithium-ion battery. Output 111 PS and 121 Newton meters of torque. And what I can say is, if Never ka naman nabitin sa Vios. Definitely, you won't lack for power here in the Ativ. Okay, so as usual, being an electric assisted car, when you put the throttle down, you do get your torque all the time, instantly, and makes it fun to overtake. Whether from a standstill or while already at speed, the Vios Ativ or the Ativ will go and go. But that's not actually my favorite part about having a hybrid. My favorite part is actually when you're slow or stop-start traffic and how smooth it is to take off from a standing start with an electric motor. And that's something you can do all the time here in the Ativ, even though it's not a PHEV or something like that. Because if you look at your EV driving ratio here, it actually stays pretty high up. Like right now, it's at 74%. So that means basically every time you take off from a slow start, you're enjoying the smoothness of the electric drive, the quietness of the electric drive, and of course, the savings. The downside is that engine is noisy when it charges the battery. Like no sugarcoating. It is noisy, and you'll feel it vibrate in the pedals as well. It's kind of a Toyota weak spot so far for their more entry-level hybrids, and the Ativ is really no exception. Though, but if you think about it, you do have your vibration when charging. You have your vibration when you want max power, so that it has to charge as much as it can. Compare that to an ICE where the engine is always vibrating, always working, then I think overall, like net net noise level, it does go down. I think it's quieter than the last Vios, which you'd expect since this is an update, but of course not luxury car levels. So overall, it's an upgrade to NVH. Same goes with the suspension damping. It still has that reassuring heft when you go over humps. It doesn't feel like anything's gonna rattle loose. You have your normal McPherson and torsion beam setup. It handles curves nicely. You can throw it into a corner, and it feels generally planted without too much body roll, which is, maybe that's why they use it as a race car, right? In the TGR Cup. And yeah, you have road feel. You don't feel disconnected from the road. And fitting again the price segment of this car. Okay, going back to the electrification. So as I mentioned, my EV driving ratio up to now 76%. The car will try to stay in EV mode as much as possible. You can trigger it to stay there with the EV mode button, but that requires your battery to be more than half charged, I think. And again, you have your eco and power buttons here if you want to squeeze out even more fuel economy. The worst number I saw, round trip, rush hour time, middle of the day, around 30 kilometers, 16.7 kml, so basically 17. On a kinder time slot, or with city driving as well mostly, you can expect to get 20 here in the Ativ, get out on the highway, and 24, 25 is doable. Stay 80, of course, not speeding 100 plus. And as I mentioned in the start, my mixed commute leaving at 6 a.m. this morning got me 29 mixed, and very, very decent. If you want more info, so right now my total travel mileage here is around 100 kilometers or more, and I've only dropped 2 bars from the gas tank. Gas up twice a month, very possible. So one reason that the Ativ is pretty efficient is actually to do with the eCVT transmission of Toyota, which is actually not a real CVT. It doesn't have a belt. And it's not even a real transmission in the sense that it has the shifting gears, a torque converter, and all that. So basically, the eCVT is a transmission that focuses on transferring power between 2 electric motors, one to charge the battery, one to drive the car forward. And it's constantly splitting between those, meaning your engine output basically never goes to waste because it's always doing something with it. See that turning radius? No problem. And the hard part about making a transmission like this is actually the software part, making it seamless in moving the power around, as well as giving you the appropriate amounts of power based on your engine input, your speed, and all. It's actually pretty hard to program that, and you can kind of see it right now in how the current batch of F1 cars are having a hard time with their power deployment. It's not an easy engineering task to do, software task to do, and as you can see from how seamless Toyota does it, their expertise really comes into play with making this a very drivable car that you won't really feel like it's an electric car. It just drives like a normal Vios at the end of the day. Safety-wise, this is on par with other models with Toyota Safety Sense. So you have your adaptive cruise, 360-degree camera, pre-collision systems, blind spot warning, lane keep, lane tracing, lane departure warning, rear cross traffic alert, and your parking sensors front and back. So super safe, nothing to complain about there. So would I recommend the Ativ versus a non-hybrid Ativ or sedan? For me, yes. Gas prices aside, I think if you're buying a new sedan in 2026, it really makes sense to go at least with a hybrid, if not BEV or PHEV, because the tech is mature enough that you can drive it without worry. And like as I mentioned, PMX cost isn't so crazy, nothing wildly different, so why not just enjoy the fuel savings, especially since the prices of getting a hybrid seem to be going down here and there. Now, would I get it versus its other rivals? Of course, like you have your Seal, or you have its segment rivals like the Honda City, which is a non-hybrid, or other non-hybrid or mild hybrid sedans. That one is up to you. So as usual, Toyota will tips in the favor of the Toyota because of resale value, because of reliability, because of the name, the expectations. And the Chinese brands, of course, will have their price advantage and technology advantage. Though driving this one, you don't really feel that much of a technology gap in the interior. Sure, the screen is not as big, camera might not be as high res, but basically everything is there. You have your safety features, you have your like automatic aircon, wireless charger. So you're not actually behind like a generation in technology. It's maybe like half a gen or 1/3 a gen because the things aren't quite as new. And when it comes to the actual price of the Ativ HEV, well, that's actually not so bad either. This one, the Ativ HEV, comes in at 1.2 million pesos. And I think we should compare this to the Ativ G variant NA 1.5, which comes in at 1,069,000 pesos. Because if you just go off Toyota's built-in financing calculation on their website, that would just be a difference of 2,500 pesos per month. And that one is what, one full tank of gas, especially with how much gas is now. So unlike before, like say the Corolla Cross when it first came out, or the Altis when the hybrid was around 300K above the non-hybrid version, this one is much more closer, and I think it just really makes more sense to just go for the hybrid right away, because what's 2.5 a month, especially if you're saving that on gas. So for example, this one, 36-liter gas tank, gas right now is what, 90 basically? So that's almost 3,000. That is your savings right there. And you can easily get double the fuel economy in this one versus a normal Vios. So I think, yeah, no-brainer. Plus, when it comes to PMS, this one is basically the same as a naturally aspirated car. The hybrid system, the motor, the battery doesn't really require much different in terms of PMS. So it doesn't actually increase running costs as well. Again, meaning your overall spending to use this one goes down. And so that's our full review of the Toyota Ativ HEV. Do you think this is the answer to Toyota regaining their #1 spot with the best-selling car in the Philippines? Let us know in the comment section down below. Once again, Ash Mahinay, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.